to the Everett Mills and the launch of this exciting new economic development partnership in the city of Lawrence. My name is Marianne Paley-Nadel, and I'm the owner and manager of Everett Mills Real Estate. I'm the third generation of my family to work at the Everett Mills. My grandmother, Frances Gdansky, arrived in Lawrence in 1910 from Russia and lived with her cousins on Valley Street and worked at the very mill where we are today, when Lawrence was a beehive of industry, known as much for what it produced as the difficult working conditions. My father bought the mill in 1981 when large apparel businesses thrived in the mills. He attracted Ralph Lauren to join Southwick, KGR, Alps in the Mill District. He preserved these historic buildings and diversified the tenancy with retail, office, and technological uses, reflecting changes in the region and the economy. Today, at the Everett Mills, we continue to meet the needs of the changing business landscape, offering 525,000 square feet of beautiful space for educational uses, professional offices, custom manufacturing, and entrepreneurial pursuits. I like to think that we are where business and the community happens. In many ways, the story of the Everett Mills is the story of the city of Lawrence: constant change, rebirth, and reinvention. The Palevsky or Paley story is shared as well by countless families, including the Seidels, Dares, Teresis, Silverios, Espaillots. The collaboration you are going to hear about today builds on these stories and many more, and I hope it will foster our growth and raise the path for the next generation. There are a lot of wonderful things happening in this city today. Just look around us. The Lawrence Partnership is bringing together people and organizations to build on our strengths and our assets as a community and make us even stronger and more successful. There are a number of elected officials here today and dignitaries, and we'll be presenting them at different times in the program, although I would like to welcome back Congresswoman Tsongas. I'm so delighted you could be with us today. But first, I'd like to introduce Lane Glenn, the president of Northern Essex Community College, fellow optimist, and chairperson of the newly formed Lawrence Partnership. Thank you.
Marianne, thank you very much. Thank you to you and to Everett Mills for hosting us today. Thanks for the nod to optimism. I think there are a lot of optimists here in the room today. Many hands make light work, right? And you can see evidence of that all around you. There's a lot of hands that came together to put this together today, but to put together this partnership overall. As Marianne noted, there are a lot of elected officials in the room. There are a lot of dignitaries in the room. This is the kind of gathering where we could introduce absolutely every one of you and thank you and recognize you for your wonderful work. What we will be doing, since not all of you will be appearing here on stage, is recognizing at least a few of our elected officials and others as we go through the program. First of all, we have with us representing Senator Elizabeth Warren's office, Ana Morales and Ariel Vega. Thank you very much. Our Senator-elect for the 2nd Essex and Middlesex District, Barbara L'Italian. Congratulations. Pam Coker, the Director of Local Policy and the Interim Overseer here in Lawrence from the Executive Office for Administration and Finance. Thank you, Pam. David Cedrone, the Associate Commissioner for Economic and Workforce Development for the Massachusetts Department of Higher Education. Thank you for being here today, David. Two of my bosses from the Board of Trustees of Northern Essex Community College, Chairman Bill Moynihan and Pete Dolcinos. Thank you for being here. We have Jeff Doggett, the Chief Operating Officer of Merrimack College, here for President Chris Hopi. Thank you, Merrimack College, for your generous contribution for this partnership. A fellow who's given us an awful lot of help getting here to this day, Jim Cook, the Executive Director of the Lowell Plan. And Ben Foreman is here from Mass Inc. Thanks for joining us, Ben. Everybody else, stick around during lunch after this. We'll be sure to recognize you in some way or another. Thank you for being here. Marianne is right. The history of Lawrence is a long one with a rich history of change, of rebirth, of reinvention, and of success. And like a lot of gateway cities across the Commonwealth, it's a city that's faced its share of challenges. But even today, there are tremendous assets here in the city. Thanks to our industrial past, we have what we can call, I think, great bones. We have some of the best prime commercial development opportunities anywhere in the Northeast. Several of you know that because you've been hard at work developing those areas. We have a school system that is showing the fastest growth and improvement of any urban district in the state of Massachusetts. Congratulations to the Lawrence Public Schools. We have businesses and community organizations, a lot of them here in the room today with deep roots, strong pride, and unwavering commitment to helping this city succeed. We have the most talented, hardest working, dedicated mayor, legislative delegation, and city council anywhere in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much. And with all that said, we also know that no single leader, no single company, no single school, no single organization can do everything that's needed to attract more business into the city, to support and grow the ones that are already here, to help us create more jobs, to plan and implement the kinds of improvements that our infrastructure needs to make Lawrence the most vital, vibrant, and successful community in the Merrimack Valley and anywhere in the Northeast. That's what we're about. And that's why a little over a year ago, a group of presidents and CEOs and executive directors of banks and mills and businesses and schools and community organizations in Lawrence came together to create a new private-public sector collaboration. The Lawrence Partnership is focused on economic development and on improving the quality of life in the city of Lawrence. Over the past year, we've taken some time to learn some valuable lessons from other communities that have come before us. More than 30 years ago, Congressman Paul Tsongas helped create the Lowell Plan, a nationally recognized economic development organization that's really helped transform the city of Lowell, that particular gateway city, in a number of ways, through downtown master planning, through a citywide model for educational excellence, by helping to attract a minor league baseball team, developing new transportation options, and a lot of other accomplishments for Lowell. Just south of here, down the street, the Salem Partnership has focused on the creative economy for 25 years. They've assisted with the renovation of the downtown pedestrian mall. They've helped out with the Salem Port Development Project, the renovation of the courts complex. They've created a National Park Service Regional Visitors Center that serves over 600,000 visitors a year in Salem. Those are the kinds of success stories that can happen when leaders like all of us here in the room today, and I'm talking to all of you, all of us here in the room today, in the private and public sectors, collaborate with a single vision to get things done. The vision of our Lawrence Partnership, as you can see from our logo here next to me, is about ideas, investment, and action. We want everyone with an interest in the success of Lawrence to contribute ideas to this partnership. We know you have them. We want to see investment by individuals, by companies, by organizations, in specific ideas that we think will make a difference. And we want those investments to lead to action, to getting things done, to showing a return on those investments, to creating jobs, to growing existing businesses, and to attracting new ones. As you'll hear from some of the other Lawrence Partnership board members who are here with us today, we do have some ideas to start with. We have some upfront investment already on the table. We have a busy working mill. We're ready for action, and we want you to join us. We're fortunate to have someone here with us today who has quite a bit of experience in efforts like this. Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas is serving her 4th term representing the 3rd Congressional District of Massachusetts. It includes cities like Haverhill, Methuen, Lawrence, Lowell, across the Merrimack and Neshoba valleys. Fortunately for us, Congresswoman Tsongas serves on the House Armed Services Committee and also on the National Resources Committee. Both of those are vital to industries and resources in our region, like defense systems employers, like national parks. Also, very fortunately for us, Congresswoman Tsongas, as I think we all know, is one of the most accessible and hardest working members in the U.S. House of Representatives. Most likely, everyone here in the room knows her as Nikki and has benefited in one way or another from her advocacy and her legislative efforts. She was there at the beginning of the Lowell Plan. She knows Lowell very well, and she knows Lawrence very well. And she's here today to share some lessons from Lowell and a vision for Lawrence. So please join me in welcoming Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas.
Thank you all. It's great to be here. There's so much energy and enthusiasm in this room, which I find to always be the case every time I come to Lawrence. But to have all of it in one room is quite something. I'd like to begin with 2 quotes taken from the recently released book called The Mill Power by Paul Marion, a book that follows the origin and impact of Lowell's National Historical Park. First, to quote my husband, Paul Tsongas, who was, as we know, a passionate champion for the city's rebirth, who came back to the city in his late 20s was dismayed by the economic challenges the city confronted, but just as much dismayed by the city's view of itself. Quote, "Under the free enterprise system, useless items are discarded in favor of more productive ones. But how do you discard a city?" Unquote. The second quote is by Larry Gall. He was a former assistant superintendent of the park. Quote, "If there is a lesson other aging industrial cities can learn from Lowell, it is that revitalization begins with the kinds of changes in a community's self-image that project a palpable sense of confidence and direction. The catalyst for such changes is what preservationists have called a sense of place." Taken together, I think these two quotes underline the significance of today's launch of the Lawrence Partnership. Every time I come to Lawrence, I see good things happening. They might be fostered by the city, or the state, or the federal government, or the nonprofit sector, or the private sector. But importantly, the creation of the Lawrence Partnership reflects a recognition that no one entity, dedicated, accomplished, resourceful as it may be, can do it alone, but that a public-private partnership is a key element to progress. I look forward to Lawrence's future and applaud the many leaders in the room who are here today. Just look at you. You represent so much of what is great about this city, confidently committed to setting Lawrence on a new path that is rooted in a shared sense and love of place. You can feel it in the room, and a determination to create a productive future for its citizens. This shared commitment has been key to Lowell's many successes, now 40 years in the making. The Lowell Plan and its financing arm, the Lowell Development Financial Corporation, and do not underestimate the importance of the financing arm, have been an integral and critical part of the city's many noteworthy projects, including the arena, the ballpark, and most recently, a proposed trolley system. But those projects came 20 years, 25 years into the overall effort. But in the end, it is rooted in people, that love of place and a never say die attitude, which is so evident here in this room today. So I have no doubt that the Lawrence Partnership will play a similarly important role. There are too many committed people, organizations, entities, both public and private, in this room today to doubt it. And it's my great honor to be here with you, and I look forward to your progress. I'm not here to tell you how to do it. It has to come up out of who you are, and you are well on your way. Thank you.
Congressman Tsongas, thank you for the inspiring words of encouragement, a little bit about the past and a whole lot about the future. We appreciate that very much. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce the chief champion of the city of Lawrence, a man whose creativity and ideas and personal touch and years of dedication to the city earned him the respect of the voters and a whole lot of the rest of us when he was elected the 63rd mayor of the city, Mayor Dan Rivera.
There have been 63 of us, huh? That's the first time I heard that number. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be before you today and an honor as the mayor to have so many people together in one place to talk about how we can make Lawrence a better place to live. The stone is large and the obstacles are many. And so when you think about them all by yourself in a room on 200 Essex Street, Common Street, it seems like it's impossible. And then you think, well, then I have to talk to everybody individually, and it gets even more daunting. But when you run for office, you have to have this optimism that you can make some change when you get into office. And this partnership for us is a blessing because there are so many obstacles and there are so many challenges. And frankly, I didn't go to school for any of them. And since I'm the only one in my office that has ever worked for government, all these things are very important. But you think about all of our challenges, and one of the things that I always like to say about the challenges is that we're not our challenges. Lawrence isn't the stats that everyone loves to say. Those are just numbers. And there's a way to calculate things. But you can't calculate things that relate to optimism and spirit. We have a housing study coming up, and they did the demographic numbers, and they say, well, number of Hispanics versus non-whites, whites, all this stuff. And I said, well, it's such a crazy frame. What's the number of foreign-born residents today? And and track that going back. Well, no surprise, in 1910, there was close to 50% of the people that lived in Lawrence were foreign-born. No surprise today, close to 50% or more are foreign-born. You see how the frame is different? We understand foreign-born. We are foreign-born. Some of what the president said yesterday. We've been strangers. So now the other way of counting people sets us apart. And when you start talking about resources and what we do first and how we fix things, if you don't have those partnerships like the Lawrence Partnership, then it becomes about them and us. Why they get it and we didn't get it. Why that priority and not this priority. The reality is that we have to do it all. We just have to get started. There's a lot to do, but we have to do it all. We have to get started, and we have to prioritize those things so we can get the important things done first. So these partnerships that we have, and I've been blessed to have great partnerships, the Mayor's Health Task Force, bringing the health community together, Groundwork Lawrence, making sure that we pay attention to our parks and open space, Marianne and the Everett Mills and all the mill owners keeping on track on all these little things that are going on every day with their buildings, businesses large and small, even Ashante, who did the food here. The work of small businesses and large businesses together, Sal and the work the Chamber's doing, Northern Essex Community College, how can we say enough about that? But this is a way to corral everybody and kind of hug each other. It's easy to talk about somebody from a distance, and you read their name in the newspaper, and you can set up a thought about who they are and what they do and their motivations. But when you're up in close quarters, that's hard to do. You have to actually ask, hey, why are you doing that? And this partnership is going to make sure that we are on track. Because I've actually stopped talking about how to make Lawrence better, because no surprise to everybody, everyone's doing that. To start saying that things can happen in Lawrence. We can have 6 level 1 schools. I'm going to say that again. We can have 6 level 1 schools in Lawrence. We can have large companies come to our city and employ more people. And we can talk about economic development in a regional way without having a chip on our shoulder. I say it all the time. You want to put your plant in Andover, North Andover, Methuen? Go ahead and do that. Those people who are going to work in those plants, they don't live in Lawrence. There's a big article about Haverhill keeping Southwick. Go look at the payroll. Those people live in Lawrence. And that's fine. And we need to do more of that. So this idea of that we can do something in Lawrence starts with us and here in the partnership. And I'm so glad to be here. And I know that one of my colleagues on the council is here, Eileen Burnell. Is she here tonight? Eileen, I thank you for coming, being with us. Eileen's a great person working for the council. So again, I think about those things. Things can happen in Lawrence. We can have a partnership like Lowell and Salem does, and we can be successful. We can do the little things like change the lights on Essex Street so there's lighting downtown. It's a big deal. And we can do the little things like cleaning up all summer so that it doesn't look like no one's been downtown. But we can do the big things too. And we can have an R&B downtown and no one's gonna die. But it's important. I say that as kind of a flippant thing to say, but the reality is no, people can't imagine a thriving downtown Lawrence. We have a great site. Abel was showing probably 100 people. The site by the old Abel Vargas, our economic development director. The old site by the Everett, by the cinema. They want to give us gas stations and U-Haul storage places. And we had the owner of Legal Seafood come down and meet us there. And he thought, what a great place this is. He's like, I can't believe you're not getting other bites. It's because no one thinks anything can go there, because it's got an 01843 area code, a zip code. So we got to change that. We can do things here in Lawrence. Things can happen in Lawrence. And we, first of all, amongst all of us, have to believe it. just like when I ran for office, somebody said, "You're kind of crazy. You want to be the mayor of Lawrence?" Yeah, because we think that the mayor can make a difference. And I'm sure that Sal gets that look every time he says, "I'm going to open up another section of a mill that no one ever wanted to fix." You sure you want to do that? Yeah, because things can happen in Lawrence. And this partnership is a huge example of that. And we are so happy. And again, I use the word blessed because we are blessed that we can come together and come together on an agenda and get it done. Thank you.
You got to love a mayor who encourages us all to hug each other, right? Really. Thank you, Dan, for all of that. You know, one of the great strengths of the Lawrence Partnership, we think, is the coming together of businesses and organizations from both the private and the public sectors. Here to introduce our board of directors to you are Rafael Guzman, the president of RM Technologies, and Jess Anders, executive director of Lawrence Community Works.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming in today. I mean, it's an exciting time. I'm Lawrence. We are Lawrence. I'm excited to be here.
It's just wonderful to see this room and feel the energy in it and see everyone that we love all together. We don't have to hug each other yet, but we're going to want to when this is done.
There are a lot of people in organizations in Lawrence that are already accomplishing great things for the city. This partnership is about bringing together all of those wonderful individuals and resources, from businesses, nonprofits, education, and elected officials to even do some more.
So when we combine our ideas and our resources, our talent and our creativity here in the city, there is no barrier that we cannot overcome together. I want to get us started by introducing some of the board of directors of the Lawrence Partnership. We incorporated a few months ago. And we have a very diverse, wonderful group of people. I am going to ask you, Rafael and I are going to introduce them alternately, and we would like to ask you to hold your applause, please. You all might have a favorite board member, but just don't shout that out. Hold your applause till the end, otherwise it'll take a long time to get through this. So first of all, Lane Glenn, who's the chair, the president of Northern Essex Community College.
Salvatore Lupoli, the vice chair.
Bob Anson, the treasurer of CEO of Mass Innovation.
Jessica Anders, our clerk.
Karen Andreas, the publisher of the Eagle Tribune.
Benny Espaillat, at large.
Rafael Guzman, at large, the president of RM Technologies.
Jonathan Saxon, at large, president, the GEM Group.
Marianne Paley-Nadel, the owner and manager of Everett Mills Real Estate.
Robert Rivers, at large, president and CEO of Eastern Bank.
Diane Anderson, the president of Lawrence General Hospital.
Joe Bevilacqua, president of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Marco Stevers, the state representative for the 16th Essex District.
Dalia Diaz, publisher and owner of Rumbo.
Diana DiZoglio, state representative of the 14th Essex District.
Wendy Estrella Law.
Barry Feingold, state senator, 2nd Essex and Middlesex District.
Gerard Foley, CEO of the Mary Immaculate Health Services.
Evelyn Friedman, executive director of Greater Lawrence Community Action Council.
Stephen Ives, president and CEO of the Merrimack Valley YMCA.
Bill Lionhood, the district executive and vice president of Santander Bank.
Modesto Maldonado, president of the Lawrence City Council.
Alberto Nunez, the owner and developer of Nunez Property Management.
Peter Matthews, president and CEO of the Merrimack Valley Credit Union.
Heather McMahon, executive director of Groundwork Lawrence.
Frank Moran, state rep for the 17th Essex District.
Rich Napolitano, vice president of marketing and development for the Greater Lawrence Community Health Center.
Teresa Park, director of the Lawrence City Planning and Development.
Jose Pino, the treasurer of Greater Lawrence Young Professionals Network. Sorry.
Jeff Riley, superintendent of the Lawrence School System.
The Honorable Daniel Rivera, mayor.
Gary Seidel, Bell Tower Development.
Julia Silverio, the owner of Silverio Insurance.
Chester Stablak, executive vice president of Enterprise Bank.
Dave Tibbetts, the president of the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council.
Nikki Songa, she doesn't need an introduction.
So many thanks to all of our board members for sharing your time and your talent so generously with us. And we hope that everyone in this room will join with us in our efforts to improve economic development here in the city of Lawrence.
Jess and Raphael, thank you very much. I said earlier that there are so many dignitaries in the room. We'd like to introduce every one of you. When we do this again next year, we're going to have you all up here with us. That's the idea. So thank you for being here today and for supporting this great city and this great partnership, all the board members and all of you as well. I said earlier this partnership is about ideas, investment, and action. It's now my great pleasure to reintroduce to you a man you just saw up here, the vice chairman of our board, Sal Lapoli, the CEO of Lapoli Companies, who's going to share with you just a few of the ideas and action items that this partnership intends to accomplish. We're going to be plugging back in the projectors that just got unplugged so you can see what he's going to be talking about. It might take a minute to fire those back up, but I'm guessing Sal might have a couple of things to say as we're waiting for that to happen.
Well, as we get started, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody here for being in the room. Because you know what? This is a really big deal. This is a big deal when you can get these many people in a room for one common goal. And you know, people ask me all the time that they want me to talk about a vision that Sal Lapoli had over at Riverwalk. I don't like to say Sal Lapoli had a vision, because a vision is not a vision unless it's shared. See, the only reason we can accomplish great things is because we all believe in it. And if you look at the map behind me, you look at this partnership logo, you see the three rivers coming into one. I think that really sums up what we're all about and what we're here for today. As I sat next to Bob Rivers, I looked up at that and I said to myself, that's really what it's about. It's about all different rivers coming together to form one, to make us all powerful. Now, when we talk today, you'll hear many people talk after me and before me, but we talk about the same things. We talk about ideas. We talk about investment. We talk about action, which is most important. You know, I'm blessed enough, and I was in front of City Council, and I want to kind of come back to the City Council for a second. I want to thank Dan Rivera, because Dan Rivera was the head of the council when Sal Lapoli came in front of him almost 11 years ago with an idea to move his business to the city of Lawrence. Now I'm blessed enough, our organization, which is almost 1,000 people strong, our average age is between 18 and 25. These are young, hard-working individuals that for 25 years, we're proud to tell you, they paid their rent, they paid their mortgage, they put their children through school. So when we came to the city of Lawrence with this idea, we were looking for one building. And I see somebody in the audience, June Black, who I met with, and June was, on behalf of Nikki Songas, and June was telling me about the city of Lawrence, about the great opportunities, about the passion in this great city. Now imagine, we're in 40 different communities, and when we go in front of boards in those 40 different communities, I usually, 99% of the time, I'm the one representing my organization, because I think it's so passionate to be able to look the owner in the eyes and let him describe to you what his plans or her plans are. And I did that, and I looked at Dan and the rest of the city council, and I told them what I wanted to do, which is to purchase an old abandoned mill. I mean, imagine some of the mills that we bought had no roof on it. Many of the people in this room can remember that you were referred to Lawrence when you went by the building with no roof on it. You're in Lawrence, Massachusetts. So when I met Mike Sullivan, who I see in the audience, and I have great passion for Mike Sullivan, who when he was mayor, encouraged the Lapoli family to come in, he encouraged Sal, look away from what people are saying. What can you do as a family? What can we do together to support you? And then instantly it happened. Dan Rivera from the city council, Nikki Songas from government, local, state, Barry Feingold, who's here today, was there 11 years ago. Joe Bevilacqua from the chamber. All these local people came not for an interest in themselves, for an interest in the city of Lawrence. So how can you not be excited about the city of Lawrence? I'm here to tell you, this doesn't exist in other cities. It really doesn't. Now, Lowell is a great community. I'm a part of Lowell. I'm from Chelmsford, and Lowell's a neighbor of ours. But I will tell you the passion, the commitment that the city of Lawrence has, it's toxic. It's intoxicating. It's unbelievable. So I want to tell you today about some wonderful things that are happening in the city of Lawrence that are happening right around the corner from us. The first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the new facade program. What is the new facade program all about? We are targeting downtown Lawrence. How can we revitalize that? Well, because of my business, because of the industry I'm in, people eat with their eyes. I say that all the time. Now, you can say certainly about that in the restaurant business, but I also believe people eat with their eyes in the real estate business. And some of the big things that we did over at Riverwalk, when it was completely abandoned, no companies, 11 years ago, today 200 companies, no employees relatively 11 years ago, today 4,500 people have ate with their eyes. They came to your city and they saw the new things that were happening. Now, sure, in any urban city, you're always going to have those challenges, but they were able to look by that, like the people in this room. They were able to see the jewels that were out there. So one of the things that we talked about on the partnership is a facade program. How do we encourage other people from other communities to come to the city of Lawrence? Because in my humble opinion, that's critical. I know this, and Mayor Rivera said it perfectly. 50% are foreign born. 50% are from the city of Lawrence, born and raised. You know what that means? That means we want to attract and be diverse to all cultures, to all people. So one of the things we thought about is creating a facade program that is more inviting, maybe a little less intimidating. And what do we mean by that? I'm proud to tell you that, I would love to be able to speak a foreign language or another language, maybe a language that was near and dear to the city of Lawrence, certainly during this century right now. But when I go down Main Street, I struggle to understand what some of the businesses are all about. I want to shop there. I just don't know what they do in some instances. So one of the things we talked about is a crossover, fixing those awnings, fixing those facades. And how do we get that started? Because that local entrepreneur, which is critical, the local entrepreneur will get us out of trouble in this country, whether it's the city, whether it's the state, or the country, it'll be that small entrepreneur that gets us out of trouble. That small entrepreneur needs to come into the city of Lawrence and realize there's a whole cross-section of people that we want to go after. How can we help that small entrepreneur today with that facade? Maybe that small entrepreneur doesn't own the building, that's okay, because the partnership, the city of Lawrence, the state representatives, our mayor, our leader, is going to encourage the owner of that building to say, hey, how can we form a partnership using the Lawrence Partnership, using resources that are out there today? How can we do that in order to clean up your facade? Because people eat with their eyes. That's the first thing we're going to do. And if I could show you a before and after picture. That right there is the alleyway to the back of the Northern Essex Community College, which you have to look at Northern Essex Community College and realize That's the first real step. You know why? What do they bring? They bring new life, circle of life. They bring young, great minds into the city, and from there, they will stay here. They will spur economic development. So we looked at that alleyway between those two buildings right there, and we said, what can we do? Well, the picture on the bottom, that's what we can do. We can allow people to look at that location and say, hey, you know what? I can see my business there. Hey, you know what? I can see myself and my family shopping there. Why? It's inviting, it's warm, it's uniform. Now, I'm in the retail business, and I get it better than anyone how important a statement is to be made when you're in the retail business. But can we make it together, a shared vision of what that should look like, what the crossover is? We just want to incorporate all cultures. We want to incorporate both people, the foreign-born, as the mayor said, and the people that are from the city of Lawrence. The next one we're going to talk about is the Buckley Garage. Imagine Northern Essex Community College came down and made such an investment. The state made an investment. The city has made an investment. Now we need a place for these young minds, these young entrepreneurs, these businesses that are going to source their business on Common Street, on Essex Street. We need a place to park. We look at the Buckley Garage and we say, how can we make that more inviting? Because if I go by the Buckley Garage, and some people say I'm a pretty big guy, I look and I say, I don't know if I'd want to be in there at 1 o'clock in the morning or midnight or something like that. Why? Because when you go in the Buckley Garage, what did you see? You saw broken lights. And that is critical, Mr. Mayor. When you talk about fixing lights, it's the little things that make this city great. I promise you that will be potholes, fixing lights. Those are a big deal, cleaning the curbs, cleaning the sidewalks. And when you go into the Buckley Garage, we've taken the abandoned cars out with the help of the city and the help of Northern Essex Community College. The graffiti's being washed out. The lights are being changed. That's a big deal. That's a real big deal. That's number two. Number three. We've been waiting for this for a long time. I'll tell you what, the city of Lawrence, the city of Lawrence works extremely hard. The mayor's vision to put more police officers on the street. But when you go by that police station, I don't know if that police station was built for a population between 100 and 125,000 in 6 miles, square miles. So what does the mayor, Northern Essex, the Lawrence partnership endorse? We endorse a brand new center that, as a result of the downtown west planning and as a result of the city of Lawrence, we are going to build a brand new safety center, the Lawrence Regional Public Safety Training Center. You know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal when entrepreneurs and new business that want to come into our city, and make no mistake about it, I'm blessed that the city of Lawrence has embraced my family and my organization and allowed me to come into your city and become a Laurentian. I'm blessed for that. And I thank people every day for that, because 11 years ago, I didn't know very much about Lawrence. I knew some history of it. I knew some of the things that people talked about it. But when we came into Lawrence and they said, Sal, don't you know about the history? After I made my investment, I said, you know what I want that? You know what I want to learn about history? I want to learn about history to not make those mistakes in the future, but history belongs right where it is, in the back, behind us. Because if we look at history and we think about that's the only thing that can happen in front, or Lawrence doesn't have an opportunity, the people in this room, the small entrepreneurs, the small business, will never be able to accomplish anything, because people will only remember the bad. But they're not going to, when they see the Lawrence Regional Public Safety Training Center, they'll realize the effort that the city is making. So what you see here today is you see a partnership about ideas, investment, action. You see a vision that is not one person's vision. This is not the mayor's vision. This is not the public vision. This is not state or federal politicians' vision. This is a shared vision of everybody in this room. So on behalf of the City of Lawrence, on behalf of the Lawrence Partnership, on behalf of my mother, my father, my family, our organization, thank you. Let's stay together. Let's create something special. And if we can ever help anybody come into the city, Dan says it all the time, I don't care who gets the credit. And when you don't care who gets the credit, you will be great. Thank you very much.
Sal said people sometimes tell him he's a big man. There's no doubting that when you see him up here, but besides seeing him that way, he's a man of big passion, he's a man of big commitment, he's a man of big investment. We thank you for all that you've been doing for the city and this partnership, Sal. Thank you very much. Sal shared with you some of the projects that we have already underway, and his idea that people eat with their eyes. It's very true. There's one other one that I'll mention to you now. We have a number of banks involved with our partnership here, Eastern Bank, Enterprise Bank, Santander, the Merrimack Valley Federal Credit Union, and together they are working on putting together a venture loan fund. You heard Congresswoman Tsongas mention how important the Lowell Financial Development Corporation has been for targeted investment in that city. We're looking to see how we can do that as well and sort of bridge the gap between what small and mid-sized businesses sometimes need and where investment has to happen. So thank you to those banks that are a part of this partnership for looking into that. More to come on that. A number of us have told you how much we hope that you'll join us in this partnership for Lawrence. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Bob Rivers, the President and Chief Operating Officer of Eastern Bank, an organization with very deep roots in this region and a clear commitment to making good things happen here in Lawrence, who's going to tell you a little bit more about how you can do that. Bob?
Well, thank you, Lane. Good afternoon to all of you. Hopefully you have all now been inspired to get involved, inspired to figure out how can I suggest my ideas, how can I make an investment, how can I put all of this into action here in Lawrence. You know, all of us know really the real keys to community service comes down to time, comes down to talent, comes down to treasure. The Lawrence Partnership is a nonprofit organization with a volunteer board. We are doing this because we passionately believe that by investing in this city, we can help make great things happen for the residents and for the businesses and other organizations that really work here. To do that, we need all of you. We need partners who are willing to give their time, their talent, and their treasures. Now, we have provided all of you with cards. Hopefully you see them on your chair, around you on your table. These cards tell you really how you can join our efforts, and you can do it in a number of ways. If you have time, if you have talents, and I know all of you have talents, if you have those to share with us, please let us know who you are and how you would like to volunteer, and the card helps you do that. And if you have a specific suggestion, call that out on the card too. And because we will need the resources to operate this organization and to accomplish some of the projects you just heard about, we have set ourselves a fundraising goal of $250,000 to get us started. Now, you might think about that number and say, God, that's a big number. It's a big number. Where are we going to get that? Well, I'll tell you we're well on our way, because I'm really proud to let you know that 100% of our board members have pledged or made contributions to this partnership already, providing us with just about $90,000 today towards that fundraising goal. Of course, money's important, but it's not just about money. We are very blessed, as was said earlier, to have a very dedicated and active legislative delegation, hard at work to secure additional economic development resources from the state and from the federal government. Please join me in recognizing and thanking, once again, Senator Barry Feingold, Representative Marcos Devers, Representative Diana DiZigolio, and Representative Frank Moran. Thanks to all of you for your support. And Congresswoman Tsongas, you can't be thanked enough. I know when we first set this date, you had a conflict and you shuffled things around to be here. Thank you so much for your commitment. So, between contributions and the in-kind support already offered by our board, our members, and other supporters, we are rapidly approaching almost 50% of that, what seemed a few minutes ago, perhaps to you, that very daunting goal. And we're going to need your help to get us the rest of the way there. So, in addition to your time and your talents, please also indicate on the card what treasure, donations large and small, whatever you can give to this effort would be much, much appreciated. Several members of our board of directors, Stephen Ives, Jose Pino, Gary Seidel, Chet Zalzbach, Julia Silverio, will be coming around to collect those cards and to thank you personally for your support. Once again, thank you for being here today.
Bob, thank you very much. I think it's fair to say that anybody you see in this room with a blue Board of Directors tag on here, if you want to hand them that card, we'll make sure it gets to the right place. Certainly the board members that Bob just mentioned, and any of us, because we want to know who you are and how you want to be involved with us. That's important. So we have one more thing to share with you. Last week, many of us were in Lowell at the Memorial Auditorium there for Enterprise Bank's 5th Annual Celebration of Excellence Awards. And we all gave a big cheer when Groundwork Lawrence was recognized as the Regional Nonprofit of the Year. Congratulations, Groundwork Lawrence. Here to tell you how you can learn even more about this Lawrence partnership as we wrap things up here are some simple steps to take to support economic development is Heather McMahon, the Executive Director of Groundwork Lawrence.
Thanks, Lane. So this is a lot of us here. There's a lot of energy. But there's a lot of people that keep up to date with how we do things. And so we really want to, just like we're talking about ideas, investment, and action, we're talking about you can join us, follow us, support us, of course. And how can you do that? So I want to thank someone else who's moving around quietly, Sabrina, who's an AmeriCorps member from Social Capital Inc. SCI, because we've been working really hard to make sure you know how to find out about what we're doing. And that's the website, lawrencepartnership.org. Here you can see where we've already started building out. You see the picture of the Regional Public Safety Center. You can learn about who's on the board, about how we got here. Pretty soon you'll be able to donate. You'll also be able to figure out our connections for Facebook and Twitter. And if all of you are already talking about this, you've got the hashtag Lawrence Partnership to go on out, put it out there, help us spread the word. And now we know that money is donated to the Lawrence Partnership is really important, but what we're here about is economic development. And it's easy to forget that all it takes is a little money. We've got $10. Why don't you spend it in Lawrence? Spend it at Sal's. Spend it at Ashante, who's giving us a great lunch today. At El Tair, where I bought a book. We have bookstores here. Spend it here. Because your money spent here stays here. It's not that Walmart doesn't have great prices, but that doesn't stay here. That doesn't make sure that we hire people in local jobs here. So that's what you can do. After you finish filling out those cards, go take your $10, your credit card, and join us. And don't just go do it. Take a photo, take a video. We all love how much the city loves social media. And I know the mayor is going to go do this, and he's going to challenge Representative Moran and Marcos Devers to go spend their $10. And I challenge all of you to go spend your $10, challenge someone else. You know what, the Ice Bucket Challenge, that was cool. But we can do so much more here because it's Lawrence and we have the energy and the time and we know it matters. So join us by doing that because that's one little thing that goes a long way, just like pulling a meeting together that brings all of us here just a little bit of a year later. So thank you. Spend 10. Follow Lawrence Partnership, be it the website, the Facebook account, the Twitter account. I'm sure Instagram hashtags, you've got that all. We've got talent out there who will make sure that we'll be able to do it. So thank you.
As Heather was describing that to you, Mayor Rivera leaned over and reminded me, look, you all have parking spaces already, right? You're already parked. All you have to do is walk out, go right down the street, and spend your $10. So you're already there. Thank you for, again, being the chief champion of the city. Great idea. So thank you all very much for joining us here today. How about a special round of applause for a couple of folks, our classical guitarist, Omar Diaz, and the support staff of Northern Essex Community College and the Eagle Tribune and a number of other organizations that really helped put everything together around us. I hope you will take a minute to enjoy some lunch if you haven't already. Fill out one of those pledge cards if you haven't already. The board's going to stick around for a little while. Be happy to talk with you some more. Take those cards. We have a lot to celebrate here in Lawrence. I hope you feel that. I hope you felt it before you came in today, and I hope you're feeling it even more on your way out today. So stick around, enjoy lunch, and help us celebrate.